Brazil doesn't just create footballers, it forges them. From the chaos of the favelas to the roar of the world stage, how does one nation turn struggle into the greatest football genius on earth? From the dusty streets of Rio de Janeiro's favelas, where opportunity is rare and survival is a daily challenge, a young boy named Ronaldo Nazário de Lima emerged with nothing but an unstoppable passion for football, a tiny ball, and a dream that seemed impossible to achieve. And yet, this boy would grow to redefine what it meant to be a striker, inspiring generations and leaving an indelible mark on the history of the game. Born on September 18, 1976, Ronaldo grew up in a struggling household, his father a phone technician, his mother a housewife. And though they provided love, money was always scarce, and the streets of Rio became both his playground and his classroom, shaping the resilience, fearlessness, and creativity that would later become his trademark on the pitch. And while other children might have been held back by poverty, Ronaldo used it as fuel, tirelessly perfecting his craft, mastering futsal, the indoor game that would teach him the lightning-fast dribbling, sharp first touch, and improvisational genius that would leave defenders helpless in awe. And by the age of 14, Brazilian legend Jairzinho noticed the boy's talent, recognizing something extraordinary in his small, agile frame, and helped him secure a move to São Cristóvão Youth Academy, the first step on a journey that would take him to the pinnacle of football. And at just 15 years old, he was already turning heads, playing for the under-20 team, while his peers were still finding their place in youth football, showing a maturity, confidence, and hunger that belied his age. And though he wanted to join Flamengo, financial constraints blocked that opportunity, yet he persisted, signing with Cruzeiro instead, where he immediately made an impact by scoring 4 goals on his youth team debut, and within 3 months earned a professional contract, announcing to the world that Ronaldo Nazário was a force of nature in the making. And his debut season at Cruzeiro was nothing short of spectacular, scoring 44 goals in just 47 matches, breathtaking the fans with his fearless runs, electrifying stepovers, and uncanny ability to find the back of the net from impossible angles, demonstrating that talent alone was not enough. Discipline, ambition, and an unyielding desire to win were equally essential. And by 17, he had already collected a World Cup winner's medal in 1994, even without playing a single minute. And that summer, European giants turned their eyes to him, nearly landing him at Manchester United, only to be blocked by work permit issues, before a £4 million move to PSV Eindhoven marked his first step into European football, where he continued his relentless ascent, netting 54 goals in 58 appearances, averaging nearly a goal per game, and showcasing skills that were almost superhuman. A mix of raw speed, mesmerizing dribbling, and lethal finishing. And at just 19, Barcelona broke the world transfer record, paying £20 million to sign him for 8 years. A price that would soon prove to be a bargain given his phenomenal 47 goals in 49 games in that season alone, earning him the European Golden Shoe and the nickname El Fenomeno, or the Phenomenon, which perfectly captured the awe and reverence he commanded on the pitch. And as his fame exploded, so did his endorsements, including a lifetime deal with Nike worth over £160 million, catapulting the boy from the favelas to global superstardom. Yet, even amidst all this brilliance, the cruel hand of fate was waiting, and it would strike in ways that would test his body, mind, and heart unlike anything before, because injuries were to become an almost constant shadow over his career. Starting small but escalating into devastating tendon ruptures during his time at Inter Milan. Injuries that would keep him out for over 2 years and rob him of the captaincy he had earned. And while many thought his career was over, Ronaldo refused to surrender, his determination fueling the greatest comeback the football world has ever witnessed, culminating in the 2002 World Cup, where he not only returned to full fitness, but dominated the tournament, scoring 8 goals, including 2 in the final against Germany, lifting Brazil to glory and reclaiming the Ballon d'Or in the process. And yet, even with such triumphs, his story was far from smooth, moving then to Real Madrid's Galacticos for £46 million, breaking jersey sales records in 24 hours, dazzling with 30 goals in 44 games, including a memorable hat-trick against Manchester United at Old Trafford, and becoming the centerpiece of one of the most star-studded teams in history. Yet injuries continued to plague him, coupled with struggles to maintain fitness due to hypothyroidism, leading to weight issues that undermined his form. And while at AC Milan, these challenges only intensified, limiting his appearances, frustrating fans and pundits alike, and testing the limits of his resilience. Yet Ronaldo's spirit refused to break, returning to Brazil to Corinthians, where he sought a final chapter that honored his roots, choosing a club that wanted him rather than the one he grew up supporting, demonstrating once again that career decisions were not only about loyalty, but also about opportunity and purpose. And through every setback, every rupture, every missed match, every doubter's whisper, Ronaldo rose again, each time redefining expectations and inspiring those who had witnessed his brilliance, because his story is more than statistics. It's about the human spirit, about perseverance under pressure, and about the relentless pursuit of greatness. And as we trace his journey from the favelas to PSV, Barcelona, Inter Milan, Real Madrid, AC Milan, and back home to Brazil, we see a narrative of triumph and tragedy intertwined, of joy and heartbreak, of talent tested against the harshest adversities. And in every phase, he taught us lessons about resilience, about rising above challenges, about chasing dreams even when the odds are stacked against you. And now, as you reflect on this journey, consider this. Ronaldo wasn't just playing football, he was football. A phenomenon whose every touch, every sprint, every goal reshaped what was possible on the pitch. And if this story moves you, comment below which part of Ronaldo's journey inspired you the most. Whether it was his breathtaking debut at Cruzeiro, his record-breaking season at Barcelona, his heartbreaking injuries at Inter Milan, or his triumphant return at the 2002 World Cup. And while you're at it, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another in-depth football documentary that celebrates the legends, the drama, and the spirit that make this game the beautiful game. Because Ronaldo's story reminds us all why we love football, why we dream, why we fight, and why legends in the end are remembered not just for the goals they scored, but for the hearts they inspired, the boundaries they broke, and the courage they showed when faced with adversity. And this is why, decades later, from the streets of Rio to the grandest stadiums in Europe, Ronaldo Nazário de Lima will forever remain one of the greatest to ever play, an icon of resilience, genius, and the unbreakable human spirit. And as we tell this story, let it serve as a reminder. Greatness is never given, it is earned, fought for, and defended with every ounce of your being. And Ronaldo's journey through poverty, injury, doubt, and ultimate triumph is the ultimate testament to that truth. Between 2009 and 2011, Ronaldo actually managed to play a total of 42 games back in Brazil, scoring 24 goals despite constant battles with injuries and the physical toll of years at the very top. But on the 14th of February 2011, at 34 years old, Ronaldo finally acknowledged the reality his body had been telling him for years. It was time to hang up his boots. With a career total of 342 goals in 482 professional games, he reflected, "It's very hard to leave something that made me so happy. Mentally, I wanted to continue, but I have to acknowledge that I lost to my body. The head wants to go on, but the body can't take anymore. I think of an action, but I can't do it the way I want to. It's time to go." And just like that, one of football's greatest legends stepped away from the game. After retirement, Ronaldo didn't step away from football entirely. Instead, he returned to where it all began, buying the Brazilian club Cruzeiro, the very club where he started his career at just 16 years old, completing the full circle of an extraordinary journey. But as one chapter closes, another begins. And now it's time to turn our attention to Ronaldo's former teammate, the magician of football, Ronaldinho, the man who made millions fall in love with the game, the player whose smile lit up stadiums and whose skills could leave defenders humiliated. In 2005, Ronaldinho won the Ballon d'Or, being crowned the best football player in the world. Yet, just 15 years later, the same man would find himself with only $5 in his bank account and spending time in a Paraguayan prison. How does a global superstar, a man whose feet could create magic, fall so far? The story of Ronaldinho is one of extreme highs and crushing lows. A tale that begins not in the bright lights of Europe, but in the gritty neighborhoods of Brazil. Ronaldo de Assis Moreira, later known to the world as Ronaldinho, was born on March 21st, 1980. His family was extremely poor, living in one of Brazil's roughest and most disadvantaged neighborhoods. His father, a former professional footballer, now worked in a shipyard, while his mother worked tirelessly as a nurse. Money was scarce, but Ronaldinho's early life was filled with football and hope. He had an older brother, Roberto, 10 years his senior, who was an exceptional football talent himself. When Ronaldinho was just 8 years old, Roberto signed a professional contract that not only lifted the family financially, but also gave them a house with a pool, offering the first glimpse of a brighter future. But life had other plans. Tragedy struck when Ronaldinho's father suffered a heart attack and drowned in the family pool, shattering the family's stability. To make matters worse, Roberto, the brother who had been their beacon of hope, suffered a severe knee injury that threatened his professional career. In the absence of their father, Roberto stepped in as a mentor and father figure to young Ronaldinho, dedicating himself to nurturing his brother's talent, training him relentlessly, and molding him into the player who would one day mesmerize the world. This bond between the brothers would define both of their lives, a bond that would later lead them into legal troubles together, but also a bond that initially propelled Ronaldinho toward greatness. By the age of 13, Ronaldinho was already turning heads at the Grêmio Academy, famously scoring all 23 goals in a 23-0 victory. His extraordinary performance earned him a call-up to the U17 World Cup, which Brazil went on to win, announcing Ronaldinho as the next Brazilian prodigy. He progressed quickly, honing his craft at Grêmio, and at 18, he signed his first professional contract. Over 3 seasons, he showcased his brilliance, scoring goals, dazzling with dribbles, and playing with the infectious joy that would become his trademark. He wasn't just winning games, he was entertaining, inspiring, and redefining what it meant to play with flair. One memorable moment came when Ronaldinho humiliated the Brazilian legend Dunga with not one, but 2 outrageous skills in a single match. A playful display of genius that would later haunt him, as Dunga became the national team coach years later. By 2001, at the age of 21, European clubs began circling, eager to harness the Brazilian prodigy's talents. Ronaldinho ultimately signed with PSG in France, a team not yet the powerhouse it is today. Paris was a stepping stone, a place to adapt to European football under the watchful eye of his older brother, now his agent and life manager. Ronaldinho's first season at PSG was a period of adjustment, but after the winter break, he scored 4 goals in 4 consecutive games, cementing his place in the starting lineup. While his football talent was undeniable, controversies followed. PSG's manager criticized his focus on nightlife and partying, warning that his love for celebration could hinder his football career. Despite these warnings, his brilliance on the pitch could not be ignored. Then came the 2002 World Cup. Ronaldinho was part of Brazil's legendary attacking trio alongside Rivaldo and Ronaldo, famously called the 3 Rs. Together, they dominated the tournament, culminating in Brazil's victory over Germany in the final. Ronaldinho contributed with 2 goals, 5 assists, and a memorable free kick against England. At 22, he was a world champion, a superstar, and the embodiment of Brazilian football magic. Upon returning to PSG, Ronaldinho wore the iconic number 10 jersey and continued to enchant fans with his dribbling, flair, and playmaking ability. Yet, despite his individual brilliance, PSG struggled in the league, finishing 11th. It was clear that for Ronaldinho, the next step had to be bigger, and in 2003, both Manchester United and Barcelona vied for his signature. Barcelona won the battle with a €30 million bid, and at 23, Ronaldinho arrived at Camp Nou to a team in transition, ready to spark a renaissance. At Barcelona, something shifted. Stories of partying and distractions waned as he focused on his football. He scored on his debut, took the number 10 jersey, and led the team back to prominence. In his first season, he scored 22 goals in 45 games, helping Barcelona finish 2nd in La Liga and orchestrating a historic victory over Real Madrid for the first time in 7 years. His influence was transformative. Xavi Hernandez credits Ronaldinho as the catalyst for Barcelona's modern success. In the following seasons, Ronaldinho's brilliance reached its peak. Barcelona won consecutive La Liga titles, the Champions League, and Ronaldinho claimed the Ballon d'Or and back-to-back FIFA Player of the Year awards. His tally of 26 goals in a single season was impressive, but his contribution went far beyond scoring. He created chances, mesmerized defenders, and embodied the unique Brazilian style of joy, creativity, and flair that made football a spectacle. One remarkable moment saw him score twice against Real Madrid, earning applause from the opposing fans, an honor reserved for legends like Diego Maradona. But despite the glory, challenges loomed. The 2006 World Cup saw Brazil exit early, and Ronaldinho, alongside teammate Adriano, drew criticism for partying immediately after the loss. His focus seemed to waver, and upon returning to Barcelona, he struggled to maintain his earlier standards. By the 2006 to 2007 season, younger talents like Lionel Messi were emerging, and Ronaldinho's influence began to wane. Injuries, poor fitness, and lifestyle choices started to erode his dominance. By 2008, at 28, Ronaldinho moved to AC Milan in Serie A, where he initially showed glimpses of his former brilliance but struggled with consistency. The culture of dedication at Milan clashed with his part-time professional, full-time entertainer persona. Carlo Ancelotti noted that his talent was never in question, but his physical condition was precarious. Even when he found form in his second season, it wasn't enough to regain his old stature. After leaving Milan, Ronaldinho returned to Brazil, signing with Flamengo at 30. Uniquely, he included a clause allowing him to party twice a week, reflecting the carefree spirit that had defined his career. He later moved to Atlético Mineiro, winning the Copa Libertadores and earning the Bola de Oro. He had stints in Mexico with Querétaro and back in Brazil with Fluminense before finally playing futsal in India and officially retiring in 2018. Yet, the story of Ronaldinho doesn't end with retirement. 2 years later, the legend faced serious legal issues, landing him in Paraguayan prison and leaving him with a mere $5 in his bank account. How could a man who once lit up stadiums across the world and brought smiles to millions fall so far? The rise, the glory, and the tragedy of Ronaldinho is a story that reminds us that talent alone doesn't define a legacy. Discipline, focus, and the choices we make off the pitch are just as crucial.